Welcome to How to Beat the Difference with your hosts, Joanna and Paul. A podcast for the career you want, or maybe just that push you need. If you want to know what your dream career looks like, join us to get inspiration from industry experts that will make that dream career a reality.
Hello and welcome along to How to Be the Difference. My name is Paul Linsky and I'm joined, as always, with Joanna Molina. Joanna, what's the crack?
What is that?
I knew that would catch you out. It's not crack, it's an Irish word, so it just means fun. So C-R-A-I-C. What's the crack? We use it all the time over here. Like
I thought you were asking me. I thought you were asking me what's broken.
I think. No, it just means how, like, we say, like, last night was great crack. This will be great crack, so it'll be fun. So there you go. That's, I'm just seeing, how are you, basically?
Yes, ¿cómo estás? Very well, Paul. Yeah, really, really good last couple of days. And we've been getting quite a lot of feedback from our very first episode. Very happy to see people listening to us from various parts of the world, almost in every continent. So yeah, keep it up.
Brilliant. And let's tell everyone what this week's topic is.
So this week's topic is marketing, and we spoke with Jane Asscher, an amazing woman. She was shortlisted for UK's Businesswoman of the Year in PR and Marketing last year. She's coming a little later on the show.
And yeah, I suppose, like, when you hear marketing, my mind goes to, like, marketing, advertising, or, Mad Men, like the days of Mad Men,
Yes, totally. And you are right, because we went from the traditional advertising to actually living and breathing marketing. A study reports that back in the 70s, the average person saw between 500 to 1,600 ads per day. And that was mainly on billboards or newspapers or TV ads. Paul, do you know what that number is today?
Oh, well, I know my phone is listening to me, so I'd imagine it's high. I have no idea. It's I don't know, maybe 1,000 or something, around like that.
Wow. Well, I originally thought 500 was crazy, but that number today is at least 5,000 ads every single day. Because now, in addition to that traditional media, we also have exposure to like search engines, social media, screens, basically, which are literally absolutely everywhere. I looked into some startup the other day, Paul, that is very cool. They launched a Kickstarter campaign to basically produce these sunglasses. And when you wear them, it basically blocks every single screen around you. So let's say you are, I don't know, in Times Square, and you wear them and you will not see any screen. I will get one.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Like, it definitely helped me. I'm just looking at screens all day now, but yeah, maybe reconnect with nature, something like that.
Yeah, basically what that means is that everything and everyone is now connected to marketing, Paul. I think that no career field can actually live without marketing.
Yeah, I agree. And that's something that I'm bad at personally is marketing, but it is one of the most diverse and creative careers that you can step into today. Advertising is the one we generally think of, but there's a whole world of marketing, from social media, web production, search engine optimization, product management, and of course, something that we're going to speak with Jane about is socially conscious marketing. We have got a clip a little later on for some of the tougher aspects of marketing. But Joanna, I'm not sure if you knew that from 2015, Cone Communications study found that 91% of millennials would change their purchasing decision to support a brand they saw as supporting a cause. So we're seeing this rise this is millennials. Now we're on to the next generation, and we're seeing this rise of more people realizing their own purchasing power and aligning themselves with brands that they care about. So in response to this, we've seen this over the last, especially the very turbulent 2020, that lots of companies jump at the chance to support a social cause. So like in a way, it's good, as someone listening to this could eventually make the difference in a company or be the difference in a company. But we're also seeing like massive mess ups as well, and seeing it backfire incredibly. Like I don't know if you remember Kylie Jenner.
I don't think I follow them.
I don't either. I just want to put that out there. But she did a ad for a big drinks company, and it was supposed to like end all wars or whatever. It was a complete disaster. The company was basically aligned themselves with a cause, and it just completely backfired, and it basically trivialized a very serious issue. So it's a fine line, and if you're in it for the right reasons, and that's anybody who's listening who wants to be involved in marketing, well, then you're more than likely be okay. But it is a fine line these days.
Yeah, totally. And it is even more important in current times of crisis, where you can really see the best and also the worst in the world. I was discussing with a friend recently that I'm actually very happy to hear and to be using more and more in casual conversations words that we didn't before, like circular economy or conscious capitalism, even living a life with purpose. Now we discussed that, and what is it like to live a life with purpose? What is purpose? So a lot of people now are questioning actually what is the impact that the brands have, as you mentioned. So Paul, tell me one thing that you bought recently that you wouldn't have 5 years ago.
I'm trying to think of all the crazy stuff I've bought during the pandemic. It's like Christmas when you have a little parcel arrive. But I would say I've started buying like equipment for like some type of a home gym, like a kettlebell and those kind of Jane Fonda exercise rope things that you see like in 80s videos.
Yes, you are building up your muscles. I wish people can see it.
Oh God, go ahead. What about you? What is there something that you've purchased recently that you don't necessarily have to be embarrassed like I am now? Or is there something?
I actually, yes, I bought some really lovely shoes that are made from plastic bottles recovered from the sea. And that's obviously they are super comfortable, but that's also something that I don't think existed 5 years ago. Companies really should be aware of all of this, everything that is changing, the way that our mindsets are changing, the way that we think and we make decisions when buying products. And they either adapt or they'll die. Or actually, Jane will tell us later, really knowing what makes people tick. And currently what makes me tick today in the middle of a pandemic is know what used to make me tick a year ago.
Yeah, Joanna, that's completely on the money. And yeah, I suppose what we're trying to get to here is a career in marketing could be desirable and very lucrative as well, but it also comes with some challenges. So currently we're seeing like the moral like dilemma that's gone along with marketing. Also information mining. You know yourself, you've got a phone. It feels like the phone is listening to you and selling you things. And you just have to look at the terms and conditions on social media platforms to know that we're giving away a lot more than we should have.
Who reads at that? Who reads the terms and conditions?
There was an art installation somewhere. It popped up somewhere, and they had the terms and conditions down in like frames on the floor. But it was very interesting. But yeah, that there's a lot to take in as well on the other side of the difficulty basically with marketing these days. There's also the rising tide of fake news. Everything is being reported as being fake.
Oh, totally, Paul. And thanks to the newly implemented laws, as you mentioned, like data protection or even films like The Social Dilemma, is why we now are talking about it. I personally think that this is a very good first step, having these conversations about how much social media influence us and influence our decisions. To be honest, I think that this current situation, what is actually telling us is that we need to take control to the information that we consume and really exercise our critical thinking skills so that we can make our own decisions based on facts and not on initial perceptions. And so what I'd like us to do is let's do a quick exercise and let's listen to this audio.
Laurel, 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 laurel.
Paul. So what do you hear? Do you hear Yanni or Laurel?
I kind of I've somewhere in between, somewhere in between that.
Okay, I hear Laurel now that we played it, but when I was preparing for this, I heard Yanni. And this is something that you can find out there and Google it. There's loads of other examples. Maybe you remember the very famous dress, Paul? The gold and white.
Is it gold or blue?
For me, it was gold and white. If you don't remember it, then Google it because it's fun. And basically what these tell us, or is actually proving, is that we all perceive things very, very differently. So really, communication and understanding each other is almost a miracle. So what is it true? What's true? It's very difficult to know what's true nowadays. And my invitation for all of us is to explore with real, genuine curiosity and open mind so that we can challenge our assumptions and create our own algorithms.
Joanna, would you like to introduce Jane?
Yes, of course. So Jane Asscher, after graduating from University of Oxford, she worked as CEO and chairwoman at Tequila Agency for more than 10 years. And now as a founding partner and CEO of 23 Red, a purpose-driven creative agency developing strategies, campaigns, and brands that change behavior for the better, Jane has been shortlisted for UK Businesswoman of the Year in PR and Marketing. Where did you grow up and whereabouts in the world are you now?
So I grew up in Wales, just outside of the capital city of Wales, which is Cardiff. And I spent all my school days there, but I'm a bit of a mixed up person because my father was Dutch. So I feel as a citizen of the world, really. And it depends if Wales are playing rugby, I'm Welsh. If Holland are playing football, I'm Dutch. And if England are playing rugby, I'm English. If England are playing football, sorry, I'm English.
That's good.
So it depends who's winning. Whoever's winning.
That's a very smart position.
And I currently live in London, and I've lived in London since I left university.
Jane, and so what was the moment when you felt that this career was for you, this career in marketing?
Probably when I was in my final year of university, and I really didn't know what I wanted to do, and I started to look at careers through my university careers advice service, but also, and I guess most importantly, talking to people who were a couple of years older than me and finding out more about their careers. I didn't have the benefit of work experience, unfortunately, in this industry sector. However, looking back on it, one of the key things about a career in advertising and marketing is about being really interested in what makes people tick. And if I think about some of the summer jobs that I'd had as a student, so for example, working in a cake factory, you might sort of say, well, how on earth does working in a cake factory line you up for a career in advertising? But actually spending time on the production line with people and the kinds of conversations we had and the TV programs that they were watching and the ads they liked, and that real sort of curiosity and really learning about what made people tick made me realize that actually a career in marketing and advertising was one for me.
Fabulous. And what are some of the common myths or misconceptions about marketing?
Well, certainly about careers in marketing. One of the myths is that you need a degree in marketing or advertising or communications, and nothing could be further from the truth. Actually, we're looking for people who have taken very, very wide-ranging degrees, and indeed those people who haven't taken degrees too. But what we're interested in is curiosity, collaboration, people's ability to understand and assimilate information quickly and to make creative leaps. Those are the kinds of skills that we're looking for. So yeah, one of the big myths is you need a degree in marketing and business. You certainly don't.
And what has been the 2 or 3 best piece of advice that you've been given?
The first bit of advice I was given by somebody who has extremely well known in the industry, former chairman of Boots in the UK, was there's no such thing as a wrong turn. Remember, there's no such thing as a wrong turn. And what she meant by that was that sometimes people look and sort of say, well, maybe I made the wrong career choice, or took the wrong promotion, or moved at the wrong time. And her advice always to me, because I had one of those sort of moves in my career, was there is no such thing as a wrong turn. It is what you make of it. And that's something that I think has held me into very good stead, which is always thinking about what's got me to where I am now, and how I can apply that to move me on to the next step, rather than looking backwards and thinking that I'd made a bad career choice. The second piece of advice that I guess I've had is from another one of my mentors, actually, who is now in the House of Lords in the UK, but formerly she ran an advertising agency called AMV BDDO. And I think her advice was always to treat people with real kindness and respect. And you, wherever you are in your career stages, and I think that's held me in also in very good stead. The people you, it's an old adage, isn't it? But you're kind to the people throughout your business, and that will definitely hold you in very good stead. So yeah, good bit of advice there. I think kindness and respect to all.
Fantastic. What would you say to all the women that are out there listening and admiring your career?
You can have it all, but it's all about achieving a work-life blend. So and accepting that you're not necessarily going to be perfect at everything at every point. I have had 3 children, set up and run my own business, and I've managed to have that blend. And I learned the hard way, I think, with my first child, that I didn't get to spend too much time with her when she was very, very little. That was because I had a chairman who wasn't very supportive of women in business. But since I set my own agency up, and with my other children, I have definitely managed to have really good quality time with my kids, and also grow and develop 2 businesses, in fact. And I always talk to people about the fact that I've got 5 children, 3 of my own and 2 which have been the businesses that I've set up and run.
Amazing. How do you think an internship will help people in their career?
Well, internship helps, I think, at a number of different levels. Obviously, the ability to work in a I'm going to use the word office environment. I'm very mindful that many of us are not working in offices at the moment, but in a working environment. And you learn all about, the ability to collaborate and team working and communication skills. So there is those kinds of skills you learn in work experience, which will hold you in good stead, whichever route you go. And then, of course, there are the professional skills that you pick up, and the experiences that you pick up through work experience too. So if you're fortunate enough to get work experience in the marketing industry or the advertising industry, then clearly that will give you exposure to some of the principles around brand and marketing strategy development and campaigns. So yeah, 2 benefits really: your interpersonal skills, but also the professional experience and expertise.
Fabulous. And if they ask who will you drop everything for and happily just make their coffee? Or in other words, who do you admire and why?
Professionally, I admire Dame Cilla Snowball, who is now in the House of Lords, who was my first boss 35 years ago, and from whom I've learned an awful lot about the business. And then I suppose from a more of a celebrity perspective, the person I probably admire most is Serena Williams. I am an absolutely massive fan of tennis and a tennis nut. So I fully admire her for what she has achieved, but not just what she's achieved on the tennis court, but what she's achieved for women, and what she's achieved for people for Black African women. So yeah, she's and that's through sheer guts, determination, talent. Yeah, full of admiration for her.
So that was my chat with Jane. I really enjoyed it. She's a fascinating woman. I really look up to her. I'm very, very interested also to hear the question that you asked her, Paul, about the fake news.
Yeah, so Jane's been working currently with the UK government on, the current pandemic, the strategy around that, and, the other elements that come into play, like fake news and anti-this and anti-that, and kind of just trying to stem the tide of that at the moment. And here it is.
Great question. And yes is the answer. And we feel it now with all the work that we're doing on COVID at the moment. We have to have a weather eye, obviously, on everything that's going on in social media. We have to look at how we counter misinformation. We're trying to learn from our colleagues in the army and in counterterrorism. How have they done it before? Because it's really very, very relevant to what we have to do now. We look to bring on board sort of influential and trusted voices, because I think, government voices are not necessarily trusted. It is a really difficult time, right? There's no playbook for getting the current situation, knowing how to get ourselves out of the current situation. So, and therefore having independent trusted voices sometimes is really helpful to counter misinformation. I mean, it's now more important than ever, as we've got a vaccine on the horizon, and we are having to deal with the anti-vax movement. So it's a very good question, a very real and live question for me at the moment in terms of how we deal with it.
And that's it for this week. A big, big thank you to Jane Asscher. And I like to leave you with this phrase. You don't have to be perfect. You have to be brave.
That's nice, isn't it? You can reach us at howtobethedifference@theinterngroup.com or on Instagram @theinterngroup. Until next time, thanks, Joanna.
Thank you. Next time. See you.
Bye-bye.